Tēnā koutou katoa, greetings to you all. I te haukainga, ko Karo, ko Wichita, ko Kamachi, ko Kaiwa, tēnā te mihi atou kia koutou. To the traditional owners of this land, an acknowledgement from us to you all. Ka nui te mihi kia koutou, kua hui hui mai nei, I te atanei. And a big acknowledgement to all of us here at this gathering this afternoon. Nō rā, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Greetings to you all. I'm Kristin Dunne, Director of Destination Stewardship at Miles Partnership.
And I'm Trevor Cartwright, Founder and Principal at Coraggio Group.
As we are nearing the end of what has been a wonderful day, we appreciate that we are standing between you and this evening's festivities. But trust me, we will continue this day on a high. In our work with hundreds of destinations, we see the unprecedented changes and challenges that you are facing. How many of you are feeling totally in control and on track in your roles right now? There's not even an overachiever out there.
I don't think I saw one.
Not even one. So perhaps this feels more like your track. What do you think? Does it look familiar? Today, we aim to inspire you and give you hope that despite the world events, extreme weather, the economy, and world health crises, we can be resilient and ready for whatever comes next. As part of the reimagining theme, we see the global movement towards destination stewardship as gaining momentum. And like many of you, we are also on a journey to define how we can be better stewards for our place, people, and visitors. It is clear to see from all the major weather events happening around the world that nature is also feeling off track.
Absolutely, Kristin. And the challenges that destination organizations are facing are significant and they're unique. One of the things that is so important to understand about these principles is that they can also be very exciting at the same time. The principles of economic value and prosperity, protection and respect for culture and heritage, community well-being and environmental preservation, ecological balance mean every destination organization can positively impact their communities for generations to come. On the other hand, let's face it, it can feel overwhelming. Moving the needles on things outside of our direct control, taking on big things like climate change, affordable housing, transportation and infrastructure, and so many others can make the weight of our evolving responsibility feel daunting. To be prepared for what lies ahead and what's being asked of us as destination leaders means the way we lead going forward will be different than the way we led in the past. Recently, I was working with a client who's a seasoned destination leader here in the United States. We were talking about a few strategy-related projects and what comes next for her destination. When I asked her about stewardship, I noticed her demeanor change a little bit. As we waded into the topic and I waited a few minutes, I asked her the question, where are you now? What's next for your destination? Where are you on your journey towards stewardship? And she paused and she thought about it for a moment. And then she shared this analogy. I believe stewardship is the right way forward and that's the right thing for our destination. But right now, it feels like we're merging onto the freeway at 100 miles an hour with the windows blacked out and no steering wheel. I know I have to keep moving, but I can't see where I'm going. And I don't feel like I'm in control. Now, I've had versions of this conversation with other destination leaders who have confided a similar feeling. That sense of being responsible and accountable today for their destinations tomorrow, and to put this responsibility, this higher calling of honoring the past, protecting the present, shaping the future at the center of their organization's work. We're all at different places in our destination stewardship journeys, but I do think there's one thing in common that unites all of us as leaders, and that's the need to connect with, find inspiration, and learn from our friends and colleagues around the world. And so, in the spirit of this year's Reimagine Convention theme, We'll hear from 3 global thought leaders, including Kristin, who have embraced what it means to be a destination organization of the future. Now, all presentations and additional resources from each of our presenters will be on our website after the convention, so please visit. Let's talk about our 3 speakers today. First, we have Ewout Versloot, strategist at the Netherlands Board of Tourism and Conventions, Kristin Dunne, Director of Destination Stewardship at Miles Partnership, and Kalani Kaʻanāʻanā, Chief Brand Officer at the Hawaii Tourism Authority. First up will be Ewout Versloot. Let me tell you a little bit about him. As a strategist at the Netherlands Board of Tourism Conventions, the focus of Ewout's work has been on how the world of tourism is changing and how the tourism sector in the Netherlands can adapt, even if it means a radical shift in how they're doing things today. Over the years, Ewout has been focusing on issues related to sustainability and climate change, resulting in the roadmap toward climate-neutral tourism in the Netherlands that was published last fall. Please welcome to the stage Ewout Versloot.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just took a moment to take this all in. Thank you so much for having me here, and thank you to Miles and to Coraggio for inviting me. I want to talk a little bit about how in the Netherlands we are trying to make a change when it comes to stewardship, sustainability. But before I'm going to do that, and I only got 10 minutes, but I want to mention 2 things. I've always been interested in sustainability topics, but since the birth of my child, her name, if we can go back on one slide. Since the birth of my child, Teddy, she's almost 3 years old now, this kind of accelerated a little bit. She is cute, eh? Yeah. She's almost 3 years old, but since her birth, I am convinced that there's one thing that our generation cannot let happen. And that is that if she's my age, and I'm 35 years old right now, she should not be worrying about the same things that we are worrying about right now. That's one key point for me. And that's why I'm doing this. I work in tourism, so this is my field. I'm focusing on this. That's why. Second of all, please take out your phones. I'm going to talk a lot about a lot of different topics, but I can't explain everything in full. So there will be a lot of QR codes on screen. And if in the meantime you want to take a picture of me, that's fine too. So let's start. So we all know these graphs, right? The success story, more bed nights, more income, more GDP. This is all great. But what we've seen in the Netherlands from, let's say, halfway to 2010s on, is that this in the Netherlands can also mean this. And also articles like residents are not taking this anymore. They are complaining about how much people there are. And of course, not everywhere in the Netherlands this happens, but it happens in enough places that it's becoming an issue. And what we're also seeing is this. Like the orange block is my CO2 impact in equivalence from me flying over here and back. And there's no way I can compensate this by, for example, going vegetarian, having LED lights, driving an electric car, etc. There's simply no way. So we've been realizing that both the social impacts and the ecological impacts of tourism have become, let's say, a bit much. So in 2018, we launched Perspective 2030. And again, I can't explain all of this, so this is one of those moments that you can take a picture. Or our CEO, Jos Franke, last year gave a 3-minute presentation about what Perspective 2030 is, and I think the Miles team will be able to send it to you. But in the core, it's about this: how to bring balance between the economic, ecological, and societal impacts of tourism and travel. And I'm going to give you 4 examples of how we've been experimenting with, let's say, these new principles. And again, these are experiments. We're not perfect. And if you've got any feedback, give it to me. That's fine. But the point is we need to get started. And we're trying to get started. So first off, let's start about branding. And the best way I can explain this is by simply showing a little video. I've seen it 1,000 times and I still get goosebumps. So, on to destination management. I want to show you this little graph here. And again, scan the QR code if you want to know more. There's an English 2-pager available. But what we did here is we made a framework for both destinations within the Netherlands and consultants to use, so we all sing from the same hymn sheet. Yeah? So it's not about everyone does the same or has the same solutions or does their branding the same. It's not about that, but it's about talking the same language. And maybe realizing that when you're working on destination management, you have to have a very clear ambition and vision on where to want to go. You have your data and analysis in place. You have to have a development framework about your marketing and your destination development. And then onto my personal baby. So what we did last year is we created with many stakeholders in the Netherlands a roadmap towards climate neutral tourism. So we took the goals of the Paris Climate Accord, which we are a part of, and we spoke to many stakeholders, both from academia, destination in the Netherlands, and the business sector. Okay, how can we get there? So it's not about ideology. It's about how can we get to these goals. And we haven't solved climate change. I'm sorry. If I had, then I wouldn't be standing here, but talking to the UN, I guess. But what we have learned is that by collaborating, we can move beyond some disagreements. We can find first steps to take together. And again, we can start moving. And lastly, and this is maybe the key point, it's about collaboration. We truly believe it's about learning, about starting, but it's also for us about giving a podium to those that we think are well on their way. So we have created a podcast. It will be launched, I think, end of summer. And I want to show you a little bit about how we're trying to give both destinations within the Netherlands and businesses a podium to talk a little bit. So let's start the video about that.
This is a transition of an entire ecosystem and how it would like to relate to society.
If we do not invest in a more sustainable future, you will be out of business in 5 to 10 years.
The way that you just go somewhere and be entertained and leave, that's really the old way of thinking.
Look at the society's interest when it comes to tourism, but never look at tourism as a goal in and of itself.
I think that everyone has its role to play, and this is mine.
My wish is that your daughter and mine will enjoy the same benefits from travel and tourism as we did.
Go listen to that if you're interested. But again, the key point for me is to get started. So if you feel right now that, well, okay, let's get started, or maybe start doing a little bit more, I have one last exercise for you, and then I will leave you alone. Is if you still have your phones out. Who of you does? Do you have your phones out? I can see you, so, okay. Who here has a leadership position in a company? Who here does? Many people, yeah? I want you to think of one colleague, one coworker that you know that is passionate about either of these topics, about stewardship, about sustainability, about climate action. Think of them. Now send them a text. And tell them, please give me 3 concrete actions that you think we should start working on tomorrow. Now, you can do that right now. Maybe a bit too scary. If you think it's too scary, do it tonight after you have had a couple of drinks, yeah? But the most important thing is, they will come back to you. I promise you they will come back to you with great ideas. And you can get started. Thank you very much.
Next up is my friend and colleague, Kristin Dunne. Let me tell you a little bit about Kristin. She's pretty amazing. Kristin is a mom, strategist, fellow of marketing, and leader who joined Miles Partnership in August of 2021 after leading a regional destination management organization in New Zealand. Her trailblazing 5-year tenure as chief executive at Bay of Plenty, Kristin led the creation and implementation of one of the world's first destination stewardship strategies called Te Hatapoi, the love of tourism. The strategy is globally recognized as a pioneering pre-pandemic approach that transformed her regional tourism organization with a reimagined and purposeful future. Kristin now leads destination stewardship for Miles Partnership worldwide. She is a passionate person about helping destinations build the capability and capacity to honor the past, protect the present, and shape the future for generations to come. And now, let's welcome Kristin back to the stage.
Who has been to the beautiful Bay of Plenty on the east coast of New Zealand's North Island? There aren't very many hands up. Thank you for those of you who have visited, and now mai haramai, a warm welcome to all of those who have not been there yet. Some of the hands that are up are from my wonderful colleagues that I want to acknowledge. Abby Parkin, now also with Mars Partnership, David Perks and Kiri Golter from Regional Tourism New Zealand, as well as Frank Kuipers, all who contributed to the work that I will describe today. So this is my home. It's my tauranga waiwai, which means my place to stand. It's where I feel most connected, most reflective. And apart from being my home, I was privileged to be Chief Marketing Officer and then Chief Executive of the Destination Organisation for 7 years. So I've been in your shoes, marketing or leading tourism for a region. I can definitely see why the last guy left the role, as at the time, literally everyone was grumpy with us. It was the time to face some brutal truths, and through a whole lot of listening and learning, we knew that we needed a new strategy and a new story for our place. And we needed to find our role and purpose as an organisation, one that added value, was relevant and credible to the community. In 2017, we first moved from year-to-year planning and short-termism and created a 10-year strategy that concluded with some fundamental shifts to focus on. The right visitors at the right time and place, supply as well as demand, connecting with residents. We'd actually never spoken to them before. Long-term planning perspectives, social, cultural, economic, and environmental factors. We were a destination that still needed to grow, but looking internationally and seeing numerous examples of over-tourism, it didn't make sense to seek to grow in an unmanaged and uncontrolled way. We could see through research that visitor behaviours were changing, and so was resident sentiment. And who could blame them? In 2011, we suffered the worst maritime and ecological disaster in New Zealand's history when a freight ship hit the Australia Reef and sank. During that time, it was the community who came out in their droves with visitors and cleared the oil from the beaches and cleaned and tried to save the bird and marine life. The impacts were seen and felt for years, and this remains very fresh in our community's mind. We started to explore the concept of destination management so that the community had more confidence that someone was managing tourism on their behalf. In 2017, we signalled our intention to become a DMO, Destination Management Organisation, and set about seeking additional funding so that we could keep doing what we were doing, promotion, albeit differently, but add new skill sets to our team and deepen our investment on research and insights and strategy. Through extensive community engagement, we found a human truth that united us all. And it was simply love. We found a love that was so strong that the community wanted to leave our place better than we had found it. Why? Because they were concerned about the future for their children and their grandchildren. They wanted the best of our place to be protected for them and for the essence of our place to not be lost. We redefined our role as guardian or kaitiaki of our place, as no other organisation was in charge of protecting destinations, aka our home. Together with the community and industry, we set a new vision for our place, which was to share our love of the Bay of Plenty with the world, invite visitors who will love it too, and not allow it to be loved to death. The community supported our plan, and with the support of the airport and our major airline, our funding increased by 30%, which enabled 4 new skill sets in research and insights, partnerships and community engagement, Indigenous liaison, and a destination developer. We invested $100,000 per annum in strategy development and engaged with our communities like never before. We uncovered for the first time specifically what it was that we all loved about our place and what made us globally unique. What our locals were most passionate about that needed to be protected and enhanced for future generations. We then considered which visitors would love us most, who would also be passionate about what our industry and residents were passionate about. And I can tell you that the meeting of those passions is where absolute magic happens. From there, we asked hand-chosen leaders from within industry to lead passion groups and to create by-industry, for-community development plans for areas of our DNA, such as horticultural provenance, oceans and beaches, Māori culture, and our unique natural environments. This was our transition from thought leadership and strategic planning into leadership in action. And the passion groups were like igniting a spark. The groups had genuine passion and energy and moved fast on the opportunity that they had been given to determine their own future. I wish I had more time to share on the many incredible initiatives that came from these groups and were quickly put into action. Marketing our place based on matching the passions of locals to the passions of visitors fundamentally changed our branding, our marketing, our media channels, and who spoke for our place. We stopped believing that we knew best and we were the single voice for our place, and we elevated other voices. We became much more targeted and shared authentic and rich stories, aided by cultural advisors and the community and industry voices that could most authentically share their passions. New events and festivals and experiences were created where the community and visitors could come together. We didn't stop promoting, we just did it differently and more authentically. And our economy grew, but in a more sustainable way that retained more value locally. Video, please.
Ka puta ki te whaia ki te ao marama, haumi e, hui e, tai ki e. Sure to make you smile.
Hopefully that gives you some reasons to visit. We worked alongside Indigenous entrepreneurs to create authentic Māori experiences and invested in capability building so that visitors could also experience their incredible history, stories, language, and natural sites of significance. This was the day in April 2021 that we launched the Tauranga Moana Indigenous Collective, 15 Māori-owned businesses that we had supported to launch to market. It was a wonderful day that commemorated my 5 years as Chief Executive and the start of our stewardship work, it was also the end of my chapter with the Bay of Plenty. The Bay of Plenty team continued to give it our all, and along with the incredible momentum we were gaining, we still faced challenges. We didn't have enough long-term political will, mandate, or coalition at the governance level that was required to continue enough momentum. Globally, we had attracted attention for our trailblazing work, and our community and industry were more satisfied than ever. But our work was less understood by ever-changing political governors and funders who were still measuring on short-term and frankly outdated standards. The team and I were burnt out from driving so much change both externally and internally. And then on the 9th of December 2019, Whakaari, White Island volcano erupted. It will always be the worst day and weeks of our career. It was and is New Zealand's worst tourism disaster that took 22 lives, including 5 Americans, and severely injured 25 more, including 4 Americans. A few months later, the pandemic hit that closed New Zealand's international borders for 2 years completely. Through the devastation and the chaos of those disasters, our plan and vision continued to guide us. We didn't need to reimagine, we just needed to keep going. However, there was plenty of time to do deep reflection in my tauranga waiwai. I felt that for my home and our destination to be successful, we needed more air cover, more national momentum, more international momentum, more voices saying and doing what we were saying and doing. We needed regions to overtake us, to be better than us, and this has happened. I'm incredibly proud of the work we did as a team and the momentum we achieved despite those incredible challenges. And I got to see the magic of a stewardship approach and the benefits for community, visitors, and our organisation too. Ultimately, success in this space will come down to you, all of you as leaders, and your ability to lead differently and lead persuasive change. And you will have the full support from all of us in the room who need you to succeed for all of our future generations. These are mine. Thank you.
Last but certainly not least, we'll hear from Kalani Kaʻanāʻanā. Let me tell you a little bit about Kalani. Kalani is responsible for overseeing Hawaii Tourism Authority's various initiatives outlined in its 2020 to 2025 strategic plan in the areas of community empowerment, stewardship of the Hawaiian culture, preservation of natural resources, and brand management. He joined Hawaii Tourism Authority in 2016 and most recently served as its Director of Hawaiian Cultural Affairs and Natural Resources. Born and raised in Kailua on Oahu, Kalani is involved in many community activities. He is one of the 14 collaborative Native Hawaiian authors of the Aina Aloha Economic Futures Declaration and is an active member of the Kailua Hawaiian Civic Club and 2019 a Mid-Year Fellow. Let's give a warm welcome to Kalani.
Mō kua ela ka pavo ke ao, I ka makalai ihi o Kailua. Au aku la wala ala I ka hukai, kani ka pahu ka pua kua li'i, li'i ka pua ke ai mololani e. O lali mai nā wa ai ka ili kai, I ke kai vili au a kana loai, ku papu mai loa hiki, noho ke a kai ka wainui, e I lau hoi ka hoi koa, o ka hoi o ka hia ke aloha. Ui ke aloha. I hope I brought a little bit of our aloha spirit from the Hawaiian Islands to each of us today. I wanted that to serve a couple of functions. I composed it in 2008, standing on the shores of my home in Kailua, and I basically did a 360, and I looked all around me and called out all the aspects that are special to us in that place. I did that to recognize the traditional owners of this place. I did it to welcome, or as a welcome for this presentation, as a voice of gratitude to all of you, and a bit of a prayer of protection to my colleagues back home, the residents in the state of Hawaii who are impacted by Tropical Storm Calvin today. Without getting too deep into that, I do want to share a little bit about our home, Hawaii. We have a saying in Hawaii, malama ku'uhome, to care for our beloved home. Our elders have taught us, he ali'i Kaʻanāʻanā, he kaua ke kanaka. Literally, the land is chief and man its servant. We as Native Hawaiians understand that our relationship to our environment is a reciprocal one. And in our way of thinking, that it's our elder sibling. And as it cares for us, we also care for it. And that exchange is what keeps a healthy balance in everything that we do. I think in the Hawaiian Islands, we understand our success in traditional measures of tourism, economic success, jobs created, tax revenue, ADR, RevPAR, all of those things. But in 2019, we were out of balance. 10.4 million visitors to the state, the most we've ever had. One visitor for every 6 residents, roughly, or 250,000 people in the Hawaiian Islands on any given day. To give you a sense of what that scale is like, if they were a county, they'd be the 2nd largest county in the state. Then the pandemic hit. And I think we all know this story. Complete collapse of our economic driver. July of 2020, 0 arrivals. Completely empty beaches. Jobs shuttered, or businesses shuttered. Jobs down, 26% unemployment. We had to do something. We had to listen. Our board adopted in that January, just before the pandemic, our new strategic plan. It called for a couple of things, primarily these 4 interacting pillars. The first being our natural resources. How do we make sure that we're enriching our natural environment, regenerating our natural environment, so that it can continue to provide for us? One thing we learn in the islands is that we have to take care of ourselves, because nobody's going to come and save us. Next, we honor our indigenous culture, the Hawaiian culture, and it can teach us so many things about how we interact with one another and how we interact with those who come and visit, and that reciprocity, too, of the relationship between malihini, or visitors, and for us as Kaʻanāʻanā. The third pillar, our community at large. Again, how do we bring all of us together? Alulike kako is another Hawaiian phrase we use. It takes all hands, it takes many hands. And so how do we enrich our communities? How do we empower them to do the work that they do that really make not only Hawaii a special place to live, but a special one for visitors to come and visit? And lastly, how do we tell that story? How do we share the experiences in the islands? How do we help people rethink what they might have seen? How do we move away from over a century of tourism marketing that taught us tiki kitsch culture, hypersexualization of Native Hawaiian women, grass skirts, mai tais, and all the rest of it? How did we share something deeper? The pandemic gave us that pause, like I mentioned. It helped us listen, and we had a bigger calling before us. People like, and mentors like Anna, and others like Pauline Sheldon in our destination from Hawaii taught us that we needed to make a paradigm shift, that we really needed to shift to regenerative tourism, and we had to make a big change. We also knew we had an end zone of residents and an end zone of visitors. How did we do our branding, and did we find a message that could resonate with both? And I'd like to share this video clip next that shows you how we did that. An invitation still, but one that shares an invitation to give back, one to think about our place as sacred, and a hope that really visitors would fall in love with our home just as much as we love it. And if they love it as much as we do, they'll be a part of caring for it so that it can be around for generations. Next, I want to pivot a little bit to the new path that we found ourselves on, and an example of a hotspot or a place consumed by tourism, perhaps maybe even overloved by tourism, on the island of Kauai in a community called Kaʻanāʻanā. And this transformation that took place there, and I think I want to start with a video from that community, and Uncle Presley Wan, an elder of that place, who really sets the stage for what I'm about to share. Can we roll the clip, please?
My family has been here since time immemorial. 68 years ago, we'd go swimming at Ke'e Beach, and there'd be nobody. And what happened was this place started getting discovered. 2,000 to 3,000 down here a day. People parking all over the road, people walking all over the place. The local families wouldn't even come down here. The initial hui was formed in 1999 to manage this place. People from even outside of this community that helped organize this hui. So we have an alliance. Any success that we've had has been a collaboration.
You needed the hui because they had the heart and soul. Go Haena shuttle has removed about 3,500 cars a month from our small roads. The fees that visitors pay for the shuttle are reinvested in the community and making our community a good place to live, play, and work. But it wouldn't have been possible without kupuna like Uncle Presley and Uncle Blue, and so many that have gone before them. So many community members involved in hui maka'ainana o makana for decades.
We never expected to be a role model for the state. We were just doing things that seemed natural to us, to want to take care of Malama, our place. That's the takeaway. We're managing this place.
What a great example they are for us in the Hawaiian Islands. The solution was a little bit complex, but it really was a collaboration of the community, those residents of that place, the industry businesses around them, state, county, federal partners, really coming together to bring this solution to life. I think for us, the guiding stars were that big paradigm shift or that call to regenerative tourism, that we actually regenerate more, that we actually give something more, leave it better than when we found it. Community engagement, I like to call it community empowerment. Sometimes the best thing for us as government to do was to get out of the way and write a check. Other times it was to bring people together and get people to the table, even if I had to drag them by the arm. And then lastly, how do we make sure that we educate both the residents and visitors about what we're doing to do that? And the results speak for themselves. 80% traffic reduction, 90% reduction in illegal parking citations, 75% reduction from complaints from residents, and then the plan really helped protect that people, or those people in that place. And so, again, key takeaways, stakeholder collaboration, comprehensive planning, monitoring and evaluation, all things we do in other parts of our business, but it's really, I think, this collaboration, and this photo really captures it well. That's our governor signing a proclamation recognizing the efforts of this community as an example of regenerative tourism and destination stewardship for all of Hawaii, and perhaps some of you in your homes, as you begin your journey like we did to Malama Ku'uhome, or protect our beloved home. Mahalo and aloha.
Inspiring and valuable insights from each of our speakers. Our thanks to each of you for sharing the twists and turns of your journey with all of us. Your wisdom and insight certainly bring light to what it means to be a destination organization of the future. So, as all of you prepare for what lies ahead for your organization, I believe that having access to the right resources and support will certainly help to ease your way.
Yeah, absolutely, Trevor. Leading and marketing a destination is a tough and often lonely role, so getting that support really does make such a difference. I now lead the Stewardship Strategy and Services area 4 miles, and I bring a whole lot of empathy for the complex and challenging roles that you are in. It is now my work to help provide that air cover and to support any destination, wherever you are at on your journey, with a distilled way forward and the things that I wish I knew when I started in 2016. Fortunately, thanks to trailblazers like the Netherlands and Hawaii and several others here today, a journey map is starting to form. Whilst there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach and we're all at different stages, each of our journeys should and will be different, but there are some longitudes and latitudes and some guiding stars to help us along the way. We hear from you as destination leaders that it's hard to define stewardship, let alone know how to approach it. So we have developed a self-assessment that you're welcome to complete if you're curious to pinpoint where you're at today and what might lie ahead for your destination. You can scan the QR code to take the self-assessment and also check out our new white paper on destination stewardship.
And of course, I hope you'll all join us in attending tomorrow's panel on strategies from around the world and successful destination stewardship. You'll hear more from Ewout and Kalani, as well as Claude Molinari from Visit Detroit. Carrie Goulter will also be joining us, and she is Director of Destination Management for Regional Tourism New Zealand. And as we end our time together today, we'd like to leave you with this closing thought. No matter where you are right now, you're exactly where you should be. Certainly, there's plenty of work ahead as you continue your stewardship journey, but take comfort in knowing that the rewards that lie ahead for the place you love will be well worth your effort.
Definitely. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for your willingness to reimagine the way forward and prepare your organisations to be more responsive, resilient, and ready for whatever comes our way. Thank you on behalf of your visitors and your communities, and on behalf of all of our future generations.
Thank you.